Call our Personnel Committee meeting to order. Before we get started, I would just like to inform the committee and the entire legislature, since we're all here. Pursuant to Article 3, Section 3 of Montgomery County Charter, I, County Executive Matthew L. Ossenford, hereby appoint Michael McMahon to continue serving as the Commissioner of Social Services for a new term commencing on June 8, 2016, ending on June 8, 2021. Obviously needs our blessing. It has to have our blessing, well, our up or down vote within 60 days. So
I would move that.
Do we, can we do that now? Personnel Committee, can we?
Megan, we did have.
You want to do a resolution confirming the appointment of Michael McMahon as commissioner?
Because he did it on the 8th, so we have 60 days, and rather than to, I mean, we could put it off till next month, but could we just do it now?
If you want to bring a resolution, but you just make it clear what you want in the resolution, I imagine.
Just to confirm the appointment.
Right. I do have a resolution put together.
Do you want to maybe print it and distribute it?
You'll sponsor that resolution?
Yeah, I would accept it. Just as a point of order, this was not part of the announced agenda, and we're taking a formal action of the board. So that is in essence a meeting, and I think we have to wait until we have a formal meeting.
No, you can't. Are you asking if you can bring it to full board from committee?
I think that's what you're asking.
You can't take formal action tonight.
Yeah, we can't take formal action.
You can push it through.
Your sponsorship would be to put the resolution up for the meeting this month.
You can't act on it tonight.
I misunderstood when you said, "Can we do this now?" I said,
Oh.
Okay.
No, I meant, can we do it now as far as putting the resolution up for the June meeting?
Yes, that's what I'm going to do.
And you sponsored that.
And I seconded it.
And Martin seconded it, and we will have the resolution,
In a few minutes.
well, for the meeting. It'll be on the agenda.
Yeah, I mean, do you want to see what
What's it's going to say?
Megan is
You
shaking?
confirm, or then you vote yes or no?
Yeah, what Megan said.
All right, moving on. Anyone have anything they need to discuss for the agenda? If not, we have one resolution. It's a resolution adopting the Montgomery County exit interview policy and rescinding Resolution 141 of 2001. Sponsor for this resolution, Roy Diamond. Second, Bob Patel. Everyone has a copy of the exit interview policy. This just will be replacing the one from 2001. Any questions?
Well, what are some other differences? I mean, this is fantastic.
I think I would call on go ahead.
Some of the difference, uniform of government, so we've changed from the board of supervisors to the county executive. We've taken out some of that wording, updated the wording for that. We also have made an electronic billable form that will be available once it's approved for the employees to be able to fill it out online, and then they can submit it to me electronically. So minor changes, but necessary changes. And some of the processing is going to personnel or to myself or to the designee. I think it's gone by the wayside, the exit interviews, so we wanted to refresh it and bring it back and try to get an understanding as to why we have, why it's what it's so.
Any other questions?
I do, Tom.
Go ahead, Terry.
I understand this is confidential. Who could or who would have access to it, you know, if you wanted to read it?
Sure, I would.
Okay.
As a personnel officer,
Yeah.
I feel that, well, it would be myself, a report would go to the county executive, not necessarily with the individual names. In fact, I would try to make it as anonymous as possible.
Okay.
The more names we put out there, I think the less chance that the employees are going to be willing to give their feedback. So it would come to me or to a designee, perhaps labor management, if that's where designated, to compile a report and send it to the executive. But as far as the specific information, that would be me.
Okay.
Any other questions? Finance Committee, move it to the full board? Good. I'm sorry, Personnel Committee. I'm not a finance yet. All right, I have nothing else under,
You have the resolution for
what is it?
the commissioner
Oh,
resolution.
There's some blanks that
so everyone has a copy of the resolution, they can review it at their leisure. This is the resolution that'll be on the agenda for the full board meeting. If there's nothing else to come before the Personnel Committee, I'd look for a motion to adjourn. Roy, Duke, make the motion to adjourn.
Sure. Motion to adjourn.
Okay, adjourn.
Did we have a sponsor in a second?
Yes.
That's Duke and Martin.
Budget and Finance Committee, we'll call that meeting to order. Anyone have anything for Budget and Finance discussion? All right, resolution authorizing county executive to sign. Oh, I'm sorry, Bob.
Thank you, Chair.
I'm used to people just yelling at me and saying, me. I didn't hear your hand.
I don't want to speak for the rest of this governing body, but I have some reservations about the budget process and the way that we handle it. I believe that the timing of the process as well as communication can be improved. I think currently we wait for the county executive to prepare a county budget without any input to, as our expectations are, and we're creating a reactive situation rather than having an open dialogue and input into the process. What I'd like to propose is that we have participation into the budget process ahead of time, possibly preparing a philosophy or a structure to suggest to the county executive before he addresses his department heads. For example, I'd like to suggest that this year that we deliver a directive or an expectation that we reduce the budget 1% across the board without reducing the fund balance below 10% of the total budget. I just think that we better off, in my mind, it's an awkward position after going through all the process and having 30 days to do everything. It's reactive rather than participatory. And I think also, especially in an election year, your tendencies to be more conservative may not be proactive. So I don't know how to go about that or if anybody else agrees with me, but I think it's something that we should discuss.
I saw Martin, then I saw Barb.
Thank you.
Legislator Patel's comments perked something in the back of my mind. Aren't we supposed to...
Dory?
Huh?
Dory?
Aren't we supposed to pass the budget guidelines that should have come up for June, I believe?
15th.
And that would be something that you could build into the budget policy guidelines.
This is making me really happy. I actually had asked for a list of just for a guideline going into the budget, but it was unable to be attained. So I went for numbers, and it is going to county cost about $1 million with personnel. I think that we have accomplished some great things, but I think that we really need to, we are the purse. We need to prioritize, and I think that we can have a meeting with the minds. So I would look forward to working together during this budget, and I know we can do that. So I agree with what both of the legislators this vote before me said.
And correct me if I'm wrong, county attorney, but I think that if the legislature there's nothing preventing the legislature from putting together a budget today.
Yes.
We can do that as a finance committee. The reason it's reactive and we wait for the executive to do it is because that's what we've chosen to do. There's nothing that prevents us from putting a workshop together to create a budget. See, I'm not saying we should not communicate with the county executive. Is that my phone? I'm not saying we should not communicate with the county executive, but there's no harm in having, you know, here's my hand, here's your hand, and let's just compare notes, and where we have an agreement or very close, we've compromised, we agree with those things. But I think that, you know, if we've chosen in the past not to do that, it's not necessarily nothing that needs to change, other than we need to do that. I mean, you can put guidelines together, and you can, am I right or am I wrong?
As long as you're using it as a tool, because under the charter, you have to act on the executive budget, and that's what you have to review
Absolutely.
and have the hearing.
Right.
But I mean, if you wanted to, as a tool, start preparing in advance.
Yeah, so the executive's gonna hand us a budget that we're gonna react to, I get that.
Yeah.
But there's nothing stopping us from preparing a budget that we feel we would like as a legislature. I mean, the Assembly does it, the Senate does it, right? And then we take his budget and we see where we've agreed on things.
Right, as long as it's clear that you can't take formal action.
Absolutely not, you
You
wouldn't.
can
Yeah,
pull something together but not act on it.
yeah, it's a workshop.
I just wanted, I had some of the same thoughts that I think we have at this point now, but that yes, on or before the 15th day of June, that the legislature is supposed to act on in some sort of form in writing of any changes to policies and practices. Now, assuming, well, since it's past June 15th, the tacit notion is that there are no changes to last year's. I think it's a great idea to have a much more open communication between the ledge and the executive while he's crafting his budget. Or if there's people on this legislature that choose to look at the budget independently, that's fine. However, I think I just wanted to, there's nothing requiring that the executive is here and works with us, because it's his budget. Until it's passed on to us, I think it's great to make those notions clear of what we'd like to see, but we're also, we could have 9 different ideas of what we want to see. So it's going to be reactionary in nature simply by the way a 2-branch form of government works. But I think the thought of, getting out ahead of it is a nice idea.
I know that I've had conversations already leading up to the budget with the county executive. He's more than willing to talk to us prior to him even putting it together and have our input of what we might like to see in that. And then, I'm not saying he's going to agree with everything that we talk about, but he's more than amicable to do that. I mean,
And just frankly, the past 2 budget seasons, I know I, for one, have had those discussions, and there have been little things that I've requested or like to be changed when it gets here in its final form, but ultimately my support of the last 2 budgets has been because I've had that communication with the executive. Right. Now, it's just hasn't been in a formal setting as a legislature as a
but I
whole.
do believe that he invited the legislators in to those meetings that he was having with department heads.
He invited them, however, per the charter, they are entitled to attend those meetings.
Well, I understand, but I mean, the olive branch is there for you to go do that.
I've had some discussions about this with the executive, and he was open to the idea and welcomed the idea of this open communication before the budget. I just think it's an easier thing to set our expectations or set the bar at what we're looking at now. And for instance, something as simple as saying, look, 1% across the board, we'd like to see the department heads see what they could come up with to meet that goal. Okay, that's a small goal in $109 million, but at least it's going in the right direction. And if we have that conversation with the county executive when he's discussing this with his department heads, he can say, look, we're heading into the budget season, and the legislature has telegraphed their punches that they'd like to see a trend of reducing things by 1%. I'd like you, as my department heads, to help me maintain that goal, rather than preparing the budget and then us going through line by line in October and trying to reduce 1% off of it and have a discussion about 600 items. I would feel a lot more comfortable with having a philosophy delivered to the county executive from us of what we have our expectations.
You know, I agree, and to a point, and I also feel like, I know a lot of times we have the department heads come in and we'll run them through. I mean, we did this for years, and a lot of times we end up hearing everything that they do where we're really trying to talk about the budget. I'm very comfortable with our department heads, and I can go see them, talk to them, answer any questions that I may have. I would rather, again, see us work as a committee on some of the things that Bob is talking about, or, you know, budgetary figures, meeting with the county executive than, I don't know, just my opinion.
And I agree, one of the things when you cut across the board is you can have some departments that are, you know, 25 million, and other ones, it's just the one staffer. That could be, you could have had it in another whole department, plus, and that's it. So you're asking him to not only take a pay cut, but he had more duties assigned. So it's tough to have an across-the-board kind of cut, but I would definitely be open-minded to whatever.
Duke, and then Bob. Duke and then Bob.
Well, I really appreciate the spirit of the recommendation, but I think in practical terms, and also otherwise, we have to really respect the separation of the executive authority and our authority. There's typically legislative bodies do not have the intimacy and knowledge required to make some of these judgments that, with respect to how departments operate and what they're obligated to do. You know, we can talk about how big our budget is, but the actual discretionary spending in the budget is not that much. And also there's certainly an unintended consequence of the tax cap is that it can hinder you going forward in a time of need. It can really handicap you, perhaps putting you in a position where someday you may have to cast a vote to exceed the tax cap. Is something to keep in mind. And so really the whole idea is to be managing the budget not just simply from year to year, but try to look at it in a longer term. And that's where the benefit will come. I believe if we were going to do anything with respect to setting philosophies, it should be for not just this coming year, this coming budget. We should try to do something for that's a little more long term. I think that would be productive. Having done executive budgets, I found in the 8 years that I served as mayor that they got easier to make as time went on, not because I had gained any particular knowledge, but because they had less money to work with as time went on. And so the budget starts to dictate itself. For instance, if you know that DPW is getting a 2% raise or whatever, that number is that number. And so like a lot of these things it's just not so easy to apply a 1% cut. I don't think that if you want to use that as a total number, and you keep in mind with the unintended consequence of the tax cap, then yeah, that's something we could talk about. But I think we made a lot of progress because in our first year we were just invited as committees into specific deliberations, and I really didn't like that. And that got changed under Terry, and we at least got to talk to department heads about their spending. I think we got a lot of justification with respect to our questions, and that's pretty much the system that's going to work.
All right, Bob.
Just want to thank you everyone for the discussion, and I appreciate that. when I talk about philosophy, I just intended to be philosophy. So if a department has one person, we're saying to the county executive, look, try to do this. This is what we will support. If you have a department that has 1, 2, 5 employees and you can't make the cuts, we understand that, or we can have the reasoning and say, look, okay, you get a pass on that. And this is not something that is set in stone, but us just starting a rapport ahead of the budget time, so we're on the same page and we don't end up in October having awkward conversations, although that's our job, okay, or heated discussions. You're not going to stop that, but maybe if we have a rapport going in, and maybe what I'm asking for is a rapport and an understanding that we all have the same goal. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. First resolution we have is a resolution authorizing the county executive to sign lease agreement vehicles for the sheriff. Sponsor and second? I saw Barb, I saw Joe. Discussion? Move it to the board, full board. Second item, resolution denying application for 2014, 15, and 16 town and county tax corrections. Is there a sponsor and a second?
I'll second.
I'm sorry, who's sponsoring?
Martin sponsored and Barbara seconded. Discussion.
And she came all this way, and she sat through the whole meeting. Is there anything that you feel that,
What happened is it's in the town of Candahari, and they had a revale this year. The revale company picked up a garage on the village parcel, and the property owner thought that the garage had existed in the past on that parcel, so they filed for a correction. And the garage wasn't there. So I talked to the assessor, and the assessor agreed that the roll in the inventory was correct for the prior years, so there was no error on the file.
thank you.
Move it to the full board? Yes?
Yes,
Yes?
You mean the legislature? Then yes.
Move it to someplace? Resolution authorizing the sale of real property acquired by tax foreclosure, town of Palatine.
sponsor.
Needs a sponsor and a second, if you desire.
Sponsor or second discussion.
Yeah,
Barbara,
I'll second,
and
yeah.
Barbara seconded, Bob made the,
Yep,
Can we have some history on this?
this is the Wagner property?
This is the Wagner property that's already fallen down next to right.
Right.
And is this to convey it to the village of Palatine for some specific use, or is it just to clean up Palatine? Not that it doesn't matter, but
It says under the third whereas, this property is in poor condition and the village of Palatine would like to clear the property for future reuse.
that's just the reason for it.
Shall we move this to the full legislature?
I believe it's a full moon.
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman, didn't we have some discussions about this kind of thing in the past with respect to conveyance of properties to local governments?
We did.
We were going to visit that and come up with some kind of a
Policy.
Because-
policy.
No, we didn't do it.
Something to do with the amount of taxes that were due on the property.
Well, no, what's happening is we just probably cut a check, and I don't want to say this for sure, but we probably cut a check to the Village of Palatine Bridge for the back taxes on that. Now we're going to turn around and give that to them, but they don't give us the money back. In the city of Amsterdam, correct me if I'm wrong, with, for instance, the school district, nobody's making them whole, correct?
That's right.
Now, all of a sudden, I mean, you could probably explain it better than I can, but that's
And
the,
it goes back to the right of foreclosure that we talked about earlier with respect to the land bank. But because Amsterdam has that right of foreclosure within the city limits, then they also have to guarantee and make whole the school taxes.
I'm assuming the
But also, because the
408.
Amsterdam residents are also county residents, they do the same thing when it comes to school districts within the county, so that's 2 times.
I think that's the 408. I'd be willing to guess that that 408 is the amount of taxes we just paid them,
I believe so, but we had to verify with Sean.
because I wouldn't support this. I mean, I'll support it going to the full board, but I would like to know that, because I wouldn't support the resolution if that's not what the number's about.
I think you're right.
That's my personal opinion.
Sure. Didn't part of that was conformance, but.
You just said what I wanted to hear. That it's-
And I thought we acted on that back.
I don't think we did it
before
formally.
transferred
I think we
that
just said
property.
that's what we were gonna do, but I don't think we made any,
I think we made it known to Sean, so Sean gets the figures
Right.
ready, yeah.
can we check and make sure for the meeting that that's what that 408
I'll double check with Sean.
represents?
Should we be creating a policy that says that this is what we're doing? Rather than just suppressing? Counselor?
That's for you.
You are, there's nothing legally stopping you from doing it if you would like.
Should we do a policy, or
Well-
just do it as they come?
There are pros and cons to both.
I knew she was gonna say that.
There may be a situation why you don't want to have that policy. I don't know what it is, because as far as I'm concerned, if we just handed it over, I want it back.
I imagine if you had a large amount, say, the beach nut property, and you had $200,000 that was owed, you know, for a municipality to come up with $250,000 might be,
It wouldn't be hard, because we just gave it to them. Shouldn't be hard. What we're talking about, what Duke and I are talking about, is when we just handed over the money and made them whole. They just did not get their taxes paid by the entity that owns it. So now we as a county always make those municipalities whole. We just handed them the money. We just said, here you go, we paid the bill for those people that didn't pay it. Now we go in and they want the property back, or they want it off the roll. We just gave them the money. I mean, we literally just handed it over. And now, not only did they get the money, we're giving them the property. And most of the time, they'll end up wanting us to come in and tear it down or something.
Uh-huh.
I think it warrants further discussion as to whether we do it as a policy or a precedent.
All right.
I would be in favor of proceeding with this one, taking another peek at it going forward.
I will vote for it if the 408 represents the money that we just gave them.
Yeah.
If we did, you know. Okay,
Again, Councilor.
I will look into that, the policy.
no change. We just want to know what the 408 was, why he put that sum on there. I think all right. Resolution amending the 2016 operating budget, medical services, county ledge. We need a sponsor and a second. Anyone?
I'll second.
It's fine.
Sponsor? You sponsor, Barb? Joe,
Yeah.
second?
Yeah, that's fine. Can we get some history, some information? Thank you.
It's a jail, Joe. You know anything about it?
The sheriff did not make him privy to this, so.
Professional services contract.
I'll get some information on it.
Go ahead, Terry. You know anything about it?
Yeah. Megan knows. Well, I didn't then,
Hey,
I didn't
Martin
want
knows.
to speak for her, but.
No, I just have questions.
Do you know what it is?
I do. Did you want to go first?
I think if you tell us what it is, that's what-
This is, during the budget process, there was one, when you were going through and doing the amendments, there was a contract with EMS that was budgeted amount. The revision wasn't made, so we didn't have the correct amount of money to move forward with the contract. We had to segregate the contract into two, so we had the funds to
Oh, that's
enter into it. That's this one. So
Okay.
there's a $6,000
Is this East?
deficit that needs to be moved in
Is that
order to
Eastern?
meet the
What's the name of the company? Eastern? Yeah,
Eastern Medical
that's what I thought.
Services.
I know what it is. now.
Yeah.
So that's that one, it's to meet a contractual
Martin?
obligation.
I got it.
Good?
Good.
Moving forward,
Yep.
So it's just underfunded in the budget.
Yep.
Yeah.
Next item, resolution amending 2016 operating budget sheriff, E911.
I'll sponsor.
Second, Joe,
Yeah.
phone system.
Full board.
It's for the license for the software, yes, sir.
Good? Move it. Last item is a resolution approving the abstract of audited claims, county ledge. Motion, sponsor in a second.
Sponsor.
Barb, second. I'll second. Any discussion? All those in favor of moving it to the full legislature,
Full legislative body.
full legislative body? Good. Is there anything else to come before our committee?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion to adjourn by Ryan,
Mr. White.
seconded by Barb.
Ms. South.